Yes. What is going on, LBHT crew? Look at the smile on B's face. Look at the joy in his. That is genuine, ladies and gentlemen. That is genuine. Okay. Yes, you've heard by now the news, the good news that Matt Rhule is out of here. He's toast, B. They packed him up. He's gone. They sent him on the next thing smoking. All right.
Hey,
He's
hey,
out
hey,
of
hey,
town.
hey, hey, hey. He said they had a very cordial meeting, and Matt Rhule is a gentleman, a true gentleman, David Tepper said. Okay.
Listen, B, how can you not be when all that money's guaranteed? Because he had a 7 year deal.
They owe him $40 million. They say he's going to be getting $863,000 a month for the next 48 months.
Listen,
I would that would be a very cordial meeting with me as well.
There would be nothing. There would be, in fact, that's not bad news for Matt Rhule because I'm sure he wanted out. There's been rumors floated out there that he's flirting with the Nebraska job, or he might even have the Nebraska job. So that's one of those things. There's nothing to be angry about here. Like, you're paying me a lot of money for a substantial amount of time, man. Hey, I tell you what,
if you're Matt Rhule, can you even consider that a failure?
Listen, he didn't treat it like it. This whole time, he's just smiling, joking. He didn't seem too worried about the games that he was losing. He looked a little too carefree, and that's a big part of the reason why he's up out of here now, right?
Well, not just him. Phil Snow was fired as well. That was Steve Wilkes' decision. Steve Wilkes is the interim head coach, former defensive coordinator. He was the defensive backs coach. He was the head coach in Arizona for a year. Scapegoated over there with Josh Rosen, but now he's going to be the interim head coach for Carolina for the rest of the season. And I mean, lucky him. David Tepper said if he does an amazing job, he might be in consideration for the full-time job, which means he's not getting the full-time job, but that's all right.
Think about that statement. If he does an amazing job, meaning going above and beyond what is expected of this currently constructed team, he might be considered. Right? So
not even will be considered. He might.
Right? Like, hey man, this man takes us to the playoffs. We get a playoff win and we just have an amazing run. I'll think about it. Listen, that's why owners aren't allowed to talk most of the time, right? That's why they're encouraged not to talk, because he told himself.
You know who else made a decision like that? The Raiders, with their interim coach from last year, who actually did a great job with that team.
His name Bisaccia?
I believe so. They gave him the boot and they brought in Josh McDaniels because more attractive. And look at him now.
Yeah, mistake.
But if you want to get an idea of why Matt Rhule is out, just minus the losing streak and the nonsensical press conferences, here we have the this is their offensive and defensive ratings essentially through week 5. It's not updated for Kansas City and the Raiders. Obviously they're playing tonight. But if you look down, get away from the green, you find that deep red of the negative 243 next to Carolina, and even the defense at negative 28. So they were one of the worst performing offenses in the league. Looks like maybe fourth worst in the league. The defense is close to kind of average, but even that unit is not great, right? And this is with the third quarterback of this era, of the Matt Rhule era.
So let's discuss, because they started with Cam.
Yeah, well, no, I mean he didn't start with Cam. They got rid of Cam.
Did he not go with Cam?
He was there.
Okay.
No. When the offseason he was hired, that was when they were getting rid of Cam.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he kept on saying, "Yeah, no, I'd love to have Cam here." Blah blah blah. But then they cut him. And they brought in Teddy Bridgewater.
Yep.
But I'm obviously, yes, they brought back Cam, but I'm just talking about the guys that he actually wanted and picked.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, they had Teddy Bridgewater, because that was Joe Brady's guy.
Yes.
Joe Brady had worked with him in New Orleans. And, Teddy Bridgewater did what Teddy Bridgewater does. He's a even keel kind of guy. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a terrible quarterback. But midway through the season, they were sniping at each other in the media. And so Teddy had to go, right? Then you bring in You bring in Sam Darnold. You trade 3 draft picks to bring in Sam Darnold and try to renovate or have the reclamation project of Sam. That went horribly. They started out 3-0 and finished the season with 5 wins. One of those wins was when they brought back Cam, and he scored, I think it was 2 or 3 touchdowns on 5 snaps against Arizona.
Yeah.
So you can't even really give that to Sam. And I think, yeah, Sam was actually out at that point, I believe.
I think so.
But yeah, so it went horribly for Sam Darnold. I mean, as you would expect, he's not a good quarterback at all, right? But then you kind of, Matt Rhule made it pretty clear that he didn't want Cam there. He didn't want Cam to be starting. And I think they really put him in a bad position. They didn't really give him a real opportunity to go out there and be the starting quarterback. So they cut Cam, then that's over with. And you come back this season, you have to bring back Sam Darnold because you picked up his 5th-year option immediately. And then you trade for Baker Mayfield and draft Matt Corral. Matt Corral goes on IR. Sam Darnold goes on IR. Baker Mayfield is playing some of the worst football you've ever seen. And they have absolutely no answer. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's healthy and playing really well. You have DJ Moore, who has been a rock solid wide receiver through the first 4 years of his career, right? 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns every season.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't find him. Can't get him the ball at all. Baker had similar issues with Odell in Cleveland. You're kind of hoping that those would get cleared up, but it seems to be even worse. Robbie Anderson is kind of hit or miss. He's an up and down type of player. Terrace Marshall has been a colossal bust up to this point. I mean, he still has, there's still opportunity.
They drafted him in.
They drafted him in the 2nd round.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, I wouldn't say he's a bust, but second round,
he's a colossal bust. He can't even get on the field.
Yeah.
The what you have on the offense, they do have some playmakers. They have some talent on the offense, and they can't get any of it going in the same direction. They're all pulling in opposite directions, and Baker is just kind of standing there, spinning in circles, not knowing what the hell he's doing at all. The O-line has been a project, but it seems like that's getting going in the right direction, but they're not there yet. The defense has a lot of young talent, but they're not where they need to be yet. And this is several years into the Matt Rhule era. He's winning under 30% of his games. Ron Rivera got fired winning 54% of his games. Yeah. So this is a coach who's been just underperforming. That's kind of a massive understatement for Matt Rhule. It hasn't worked from day one. And the thing that I really don't understand is, why are you firing him after week 5 as opposed to last offseason? Because you don't believe in him if you're firing him after 5 weeks.
So okay. We've seen the rumors out there that the Panthers might be targeting Sean Payton, right? We've seen that out there. I think Tepper kind of leaked that out a little bit today when he says, hey, if Wilkes performs great, not good, great, we might consider him. That tells me we already have the person that we want in mind, but if you wow me, I might consider my options, right? Yeah. So that's probably if we're to believe these rumors that they're targeting Sean Payton, then it makes sense, because Sean Payton retired, right? So he can't just retire and go right to another team right away. He's taking a year off, and Tepper said, okay, we'll mail it in this year. I don't care. I mean, I got paid this bum anyway, so just ride with him for a year. It is what it is, and then Sean Payton could come in, and we can get it rolling from there. But fans, we talk about all the time, put pressure on your team, hold your team accountable. And I think that's what happened, especially with this owner. I think this owner he's shown to be very receptive to what fans say, right? Because that's why Cam came back last year. Fans were like, yeah, we're not showing up for this. right?
Mhm.
And he said, "All right, let's get Cam in here. We know Cam fills the seats, which is why I believe he'll try to go to the well one more time with Cam and try to bring him back now." But I think fans weren't they weren't standing for this. We saw the reaction. I saw your reaction. I mean, you're already checked out well before most of Panthers Nation was, right? Because you saw the writing on the wall. You've been here before with this team with Jimmy Pickles, right? And you see a lot of fans saying, "Look, I'm not tuning in for this. This is unwatchable."
Yeah.
And he reacted to it and said, "All right, I can't do 12 more weeks of this. So you got to go now." And Matt Rhule was like, "Okay."
Yeah. Like, whatever you say, former boss.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no, they're going to have to bring in somebody at quarterback. Baker Mayfield got a high ankle sprain, so he's going to be out for some amount of time. I mean, I don't know exactly how long. PJ Walker right now is the only quarterback they have who is able to play.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold he's not ready. They had said last week that he was still multiple weeks away from possibly playing. So yeah, I think they'll have to go out and get somebody. I don't think it's going to be Cam. I don't think Cam wants any part of the. I don't think he wants any part of this Panthers organization. But yeah, they're going to have to do something. The problem is for me, I don't see any of this changing really, which is unfortunate for Steve Wilkes. I mean, he didn't get a fair shot in Arizona, and I don't think he's really getting a fair shot now with no quarterback. But it's kind of what it is, right? They're 1-4 right now. If they really, what David Tepper said when he first took over the team is he wanted to build it the right way for long-term success.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I mean, you kind of have to ignore the go, oh, let's go get Matt Stafford. Oh, let's go get Deshaun Watson. Let's go get this, this guy and that guy. You gotta build it through the draft. You gotta go and draft your next quarterback and build the team up around that player. They had that chance with Justin Fields. They didn't do it. This is a better quarterback class than what we saw last year when they took Matt Corral. So, maybe after this season, they'll finally get it through their heads that they have to go and do their due diligence, do the homework, find who is going to be the guy in Carolina and go get him. I don't want to say hopefully this doesn't spark wins, but I mean, what do a few wins for the new coach mean in Carolina at this point? It just means dropping down in the draft, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't really help anybody. So moving forward, honestly, what we need to be looking at is just the continued improvement of Ikwonu and the rest of the O-line. And, just kind of, I mean, there's a lot of rumors about Christian McCaffrey, a lot of rumors about DJ Moore. I think most of it is wishful thinking from other fans of other teams. But if somebody does come through with an offer, giving you some fairly high picks, you have to consider it, at least on Christian McCaffrey. I don't think DJ Moore's going anywhere. But Christian, I mean, he's still a young player, but he's a running back, and running backs get used up pretty quickly. So if you can get some value back for him, I think you got to do it. I think there's a couple players on defense that maybe, you might be able to get a little value for, like maybe a Derek Brown, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say Shaq Thompson, but probably not Shaq Thompson. But I think that, they have to kind of look at those areas because they have, I don't think they've done a terrible job of this, but they have squandered some picks, right? They used 3 picks on Sam Darnold. They used 3 picks on Matt Corral. They traded a couple picks for Baker Mayfield. So they put themselves behind a little bit in that situation. Now, most of those were later picks, so it's not a huge deal. Yeah. But you do want to try and recoup some of that.
So look, I mean, what you got to do is we talked about it a little bit on last week's show. You guys are over the cap at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, cap can be manipulated. We understand that, right? Mm-hmm. But we have to take a look at what are you guys spending your money on, right? And I think we the big reason why we do this show. I'm a Ravens fan. You're a Panthers fan. because there's a lot of parallels between our teams. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that your team does that our team does, and I see it with you guys. There's, you get these little bargain deals here and there. Say, oh, for what he costs, that's a deal, or you think you're getting a steal, and then next thing you know, you don't have the money to sign anybody. It's like, where did the money go, right?
Mhm.
You have to start looking at where the money went, which players you gotta look to start getting rid of, free up some cap, or you can't free up cap, at least get those picks like you say, so you can start kind of rebuilding that way. And yeah, it's gonna be a struggle probably for the next year or so, but that's how you start to rebuild your team, right? That's what
Yeah.
they need to do.
And it kind of depends on where they're going in the draft, right? If they're going quarterback for sure, like I mean they're 1-4, so they're on track, right, to get one of those top quarterbacks. If that is their plan, then you probably want to keep that O line together and give that quarterback the best shot from day one. If maybe you're not thinking that, if you're thinking, hey, maybe we'll let Matt Corral go out there for a year, see what we've got in him. Maybe you got to look at moving Taylor Moton, right? He's a player who I think has a lot of value, and he's a little bit older than the rest of your roster, so he's not necessarily within your kind of age range. He's not within that window of the rest of the team. So that's a player you could move and just try to replace through the draft and get some good draft capital back for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it all is going to come down to who they are looking at coach. I'm not totally against the Sean Payton move, but the one question that comes up is, yeah, I'm sure Carolina is interested in Sean Payton, but what makes you think Sean Payton is interested in Carolina? If Sean Payton says, I'm coming back, there's going to be a long line of teams looking to hire Sean Payton.
And he's going to want somebody with a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Now, if Carolina's picking in the top 5 and they can get a quarterback, that's fine. But I mean, why would he not just go to Dallas, which is a team that we know he's wanted to coach before? Why would he not just go to? Well, I mean, Miami hired their coach, and I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would actually fire him just for Sean Payton.
Probably not. No.
But I mean, I'm just saying that there are going to be better teams available for a guy like Sean Payton than Carolina. So for me, if I'm David Tepper, I'm looking at, they interviewed Eric Bieniemy. The talk was that it went well. He liked Eric Bieniemy. So I'm interviewing him again, interviewing Byron Leftwich.
You know who else?
I'm
sorry, I mean cut you off, but because we've discussed this on the show, right? We Eric Bieniemy, Byron Leftwich, those are the two hot ones, for us. But one that we haven't really discussed is Bruce Arians, right? Because he stepped down from Tampa Bay. I don't think he's done coaching. I don't think that was one of those, hey, I had enough coaching. I think there was something else going on there, and he had to step down. But that's another one you might want to kick the tires on.
Yeah. Also Ken Dorsey up in Buffalo. He's been a coach in Carolina before, so he's familiar with the team and the area. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back at all. But yeah, that is the number one thing. I don't want to say fire Scott Fitterer. I really don't. But you hired him to be a yes man, so I'm not sure where this leaves him.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm inclined to say just give him a chance to do the actual job. But yeah, the whole organizational future rests on who David Tepper hires to be that next head coach. That's kind of really where we're at. And I mean, he's got great judgment, right? He hired Matt Rhule, so not just hired Matt Rhule, stole him away from another team who was going to hire him, and that team now has Brian Daboll, and they are 4-1. So without a quarterback, without an O-line, and without much talent on defense.
They're getting it done. They ain't gonna get it done next week though. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, look, that's our breakdown of it. You want to see more of this? We're going to discuss it, I'm sure, more in detail on the Wednesday show. We do a live stream every Wednesday night at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you check that out. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also hit that like button. All right. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna say this, man. I've maintained this from the get go. I think Cam is coming back.
I don't think Cam's
Steve
coming back.
Wilkes wants his guy there. He wants guys that he trusts. Okay, Cam trusts Steve. All right, and he says, "For you, Steve, I'll come back. I'll come back." And when Cam comes back, Panthers Nation, they're back in. All right. Because right now they're not back in. They're happy to see Matt Rhule gone because he was an abomination to the eyes. Okay. He was just, you had to get rid of him. Okay. We couldn't stand him anymore. Right. But they're not ready to go back to the stadium and watch this team play. They're not ready to spend their Sunday afternoons watching PJ Walker go out there and try hard, against Tampa Bay. Okay.
Yeah.
But you get Cam Newton back through those doors. People will buy in. Yes, we could say, hey, Cam Newton's washed. You could say Cam Newton doesn't have it anymore. It's still Cam Newton. Okay. you want to be extra sure.
Yeah.
And nobody believes that the last time he was here that he was given a fair shake. Nobody believed that Matt Rhule was really putting all his faith behind Cam, putting his best effort behind Cam. And even if he was, we know his best effort doesn't mean anything because he can't coach in the NFL. So I'll leave it at that. Okay, guys. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this. Like we said, we'll discuss more of this on Wednesday. Be sure to check it out, and maybe we'll get some more news by then to discuss. That is it. We will see you guys on Wednesday. Peace out.